Hello and welcome to this episode of the Terror Express. I am excited to welcome back Vanessa Wright as my co-host today. And tonight, whatever time you're watching this, we are talking to Andre Gower. You know him from the Monster Squad. He played Sean, and he's also the writer and director of the documentary Wolfman's Got Nards. Hello, Andre, and welcome to the Terror Express.
Well, I am all aboard. I am good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thrilled to have you here.
Always.
Yes. So let's talk about Sean and the Monster Squad. What was that experience like, the curse of a child star? Have you faced any obstacles as an adult actor that kind of ties back to when you were a child star, being recognized for your work as a child? Has that affected you?
You know, if it has, I don't know. I am unaware. I think really what it is, Monster Squad is definitely on the top of, a lot of columns of what I've done and what people know me for. And, in certain circles, it's the thing that, is certainly thought about and recognized and either admired or admonished. But, it happens, I guess, sometimes, when, younger actors are a thing and then they have bad experiences as an adult, or it gets in their way, or I think because of my breadth of work, I did a ton of television, did the Monster Squad, did a few other films, and I never viewed my experiences and my resume and my success at that time as an obstacle or a hindrance for anything later on. In fact, that, I've had one person that said something that was super crazy to me, and she's a producer, but I didn't have, no, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but I've only seen it as something that is a conversation thing that's positive, and then also a door opener. And once I realized that after a little bit, because I was away from the industry for a while and I lived in a totally different area and was doing totally different things. And then the whole Monster Squad resurgence thing kind of came out of nowhere and blew up, kind of like a, dynamite in a treehouse. It just kind of exploded and became a thing. And after a number of years of that, I ended up leaving where I was and going back to LA and getting back kind of, 2 feet in the industry and working on projects and developing concepts and working in front of the camera. And I realized that not everybody gets the opportunity that since we're just talking about me, that, that I had at that moment or at these moments. And something like the Monster Squad or something like your TV career, or all of that as a combination, and then the relationships that you have had, and then the ones that you continue to have, and then the new ones that you got to build, kind of when I came back, those were all positives. I realized that I could get meetings, I could get in the door, I could have conversations about projects I wanted to do because of the Monster Squad, and I realized that was a commodity and not a obstacle, not a hindrance at all. Yeah. Where a lot of people be like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with what I did as a kid. I was like, that's fine. That's your path. My path is, because this person I'm talking to tomorrow was a huge fan of the Monster Squad. That's why I have a meeting at that studio tomorrow. I understand what it is. And I appreciate it. I respect it. And I'm sure as hell going to take advantage of it. I wouldn't be anywhere without that, without the Monster Squad resurgence, for sure. That's definitely the locomotive that is making this train go. And I understand that. And you have to appreciate that not everybody gets that opportunity. And so, you have to understand that, take advantage of it. But, don't abuse it.
Kind of keeping in tune to acting, if you will. You've been quite busy these last few years. I guess as an actor, because I know you do a lot behind the camera as well, but when you're looking at, I'm sure people are pitching you stuff and trying to get you in their project. What is it about a role that gets you really excited? Like when you're sitting here and you've got scripts, coming at you left and right, like what jumps off the page to say, I got to bring this guy to life?
It's almost, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it certainly does. You don't want to play something that you're not comfortable with, of course, or that you're
Right.
not right for. And this happens sometimes. Like people are like, oh my God, will you, there's kind of two things. People really want you to be in their movie.
Right.
And they try to just get you in because you're you, or they want you there, but there's nowhere that you actually fit or should be. And you're like,
Right.
I shouldn't be this person. Like, I will ruin your thing. I know you want me to be in it, but that doesn't jive. Let's look at the next one. And then there's the other set of people that never ask, because they never assume that you'll do it, or they'll never assume that you'll be able to, or that you would want to, or that
Yeah.
you think of doing. Even their words, my little shitty rinky-dink local movie. I like characters that are either different or exactly like me. I was supposed to do a movie for my good friend Derek Johnson last year, who was a talented filmmaker, creative guy, and his producing partner Chris May. We're all friends now. And I met them through another friend years ago, and they've made a handful of really good documentaries. One was The King of the Underdogs, which was the John G. Avildsen documentary, which I highly recommend to anybody that watched movies in the 80s and 90s, because you're like, who's John G. Avildsen? You're like, oh, shit, he directed like 4 of my favorite movies. I didn't even know this guy. That's the point of the documentary.
Yeah.
And then they did a really good documentary on Frank Stallone, which was called Stallone, Frank, that is, which was absolutely fascinating. And
Yeah.
I love these guys. Anyway, the point is, he called me last spring and or a year and a half ago and said, hey, my project that I was going to do is not happening. What are you doing in July? And I said, nothing. He's like, because I'm going to go write this for you. If you're in, we're going to shoot it in East Texas at my house and in the surrounding small towns. I was like, I'm in. I don't even know the story. I'm in. I love it. I'll take it.
You had said something a while back about doing things outside of show business. Now there was one thing that you did tied in with show business that I was curious about, as far as coaching new actors who want to break into the industry. How did that come about, and are you still coaching aspiring actors?
Yeah, the very beginning of that started when I moved back to LA. I've moved back to LA a couple times, not just once.
Just
And
keep
this
pulling
was
you
in
back.
this is in the early 2000s, and I had it really kind of started out with a friend of mine that became a friend through someone else that said, hey, my friend's in LA trying to be an actor. You go have like coffee with him. He and I have been friends ever since. But he did everything exactly opposite of how you should do stuff. And then, I met a group of people during that time. And I realized as I'm hanging out in LA or going to the coffee shop or, eating a taco, and everywhere, this is back in the early 2000s, I noticed that there were little flyers and pamphlets. Like, social media didn't exist yet.
Right.
And I was like, what is this person? Wait, this person's teaching a monologue class. Okay, this person's teaching an audition class. So you're taking a class on how to audition. Okay. And then the one that really killed me is my friend was in a class, and the person that was doing that class learned that he knew me, and I guess she knew my name or something about me, and wanted me to come in to be a guest speaker in her class. I said, that sounds great. What's the class? He goes, oh, it's a close-up class. And I went, you pay money to take a class to learn how to do a close-up? And I said, okay. And now I needed to step out of, I know how to do a close-up. I've been doing all of this shit since I was 5. And I was
Yeah.
like, I guess people that don't know, there are things to learn. I got a very good close-up lesson one day on set. That's a whole other story. And if you've ever been motherfucked for 5 minutes by George C. Scott in front of 50 people, you'll learn what you're supposed to do. And I did. But I realized, I was like, hey, a lot of these people are spending a ton of money in combination to 5 or 6 classes, but yet they don't know the first thing about what they're doing. And I realized that all those people are taking all this stuff and they don't know like the first step. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna drill all this down. And I had like 15 people in a class. I started saying, we're just gonna, I just wanted to work with these people on the lines that they read when and if they were getting on audition or they're reading to get an agent. And then I realized that all these people they weren't even there yet. They were, oh, what's being submitted? Do you have an agent? You don't even have an agent yet. Got it. You got to try to get an agent. Let's see what. So we had to back it all up and go way down to the very, very fundamentals before the close-up class. There's a lot of things that happen before you end up on set with a close-up.
I wanted to chat a little bit about the documentary, because it's phenomenal, and if people still haven't seen it, they need to go see it because it's so good. It's so good.
Thank you.
But you touched on something in the doc, and I kind of wanted to bring it up. About the fact that the Monster Squad could not be made or remade as it was today. It just couldn't.
Mm.
That being said, what would today's Monster Squad look like? Like what would need to be done to kind of recapture that lightning in a bottle?
It's called Stranger Things.
I mean, I guess you're not wrong.
No, I'm not. I mean, if you want to watch a Monster Squad reboot, go watch season 1 of Stranger Things. But that's not just Monster Squad. I mean, Stranger Things has elements of a lot of the kids' adventure movies, whether they're sci-fi or horror themed or whatever. And Monster Squad was just kind of part of that.
Yeah.
If you've seen Stranger Things, there are some direct kind of lifts out of there that aren't just kind of archetypal, so to speak. They're direct lifts, which is interesting, I think. But to actually answer the question of what a monster is, it a reboot or a sequel? Is it like they're doing it again for the first time? I mean, you can't have the language, you can't have the situations, you can't have the. It wouldn't look the same. I think it would be recast. I think. And maybe even what's even better, which we've seen a couple times, is that the squad is actually a bunch of young girls that no one gives the time of day to, that they're out and be like, you know what, we've got each other. Let's just take on the world and solve all these problems, because no one listens to us anyway, and let's go prove them wrong. I think that we've seen that a couple times in some cool shows and in some films. And so I think something like Monster Squad and something like Goonies and something like Stand By Me and the Explorers and Red Dawn, show. I always throw Red Dawn in if I can. Is that groups of kids can get together and solve some shit.
Do you have any conventions coming up or any projects that you want to talk about or promote?
October 1st, we are doing a signing event in the Boulder City, Las Vegas area at Tom Devlin's Monster Museum. So if you're in the Vegas area, come out and see Ryan and I on the 1st. And then we actually go to, we have a couple things in LA that we have to do, some in-studio podcasts and some signing events that aren't accessible. But then we go to Dallas or we go to Texas for like 2 weeks or 10 days. And so we're back in Dallas. We've got a party to go to for that, the screening of the collectibles movie that I did a scene in. Because they're launching that, and then we have 2 signing events at Dallas Vintage Toy Stores and another store in Dallas. That announcement will be henceforth coming very soon. And then we're doing a convention in Arlington called Retropalooza, and so we'll be 2 days on the 22nd, 23rd. And then they haven't officially announced it yet, but if you are in the South Texas area, either in Houston, Austin, or San Antonio, we are doing some Monster Squad screenings and Q&A at the Alamo Draft House in Houston, Austin, and then San Antonio. And then on Halloween night, we will be at the Alamo in San Francisco.
And look for those links in the description below.
Final big question, because we touched on it a little bit, but for anybody who doesn't know, July of 2021, right?
Yep.
Some things changed. Something happened. It was huge.
Yeah, things changed that definitely came up and smack you in the mouth a little bit. I was playing tennis with my good buddy Mike in Las Vegas, and indoors. It was a nice Saturday morning, and started to feel a little wonky right after I hit a great backhand volley. And long story short, after a few minutes of realizing this wasn't dehydration or my low blood sugar, my buddy got me out of there, and I ended up going to 2 places, total, but I had a massive heart attack.
Wow.
And was kind of worried that was the case, and they got confirmed with the first spot that we went into, and that was a place that was not capable of treating me, and so they got me the hell out of there very quickly and got me into the big trauma center down the road. And
do you mind talking a little bit about what you were thinking and feeling in those moments? Was it a blur? Was it
you said what were the symptoms that you were feeling? I'm your age, so this kind of something that I would love to.
Yeah, so let's start with what most people consider and cliche, stereotypical I'm having a heart attack thing, because we see it on TV and the movies all the time. And one is like, oh, my left arm is, hurting, or it's paralyzed. That happens. Or there's an elephant sitting on my chest. Like, yeah, that happens too. I had none of that. And I just felt a little kind of like woozy and weird. I was like, oh, that's not, and I thought it was my blood sugar or my dehydration. And so I took myself off the court and sat down on the side for a little bit, but then things felt really weird. I saw some weird colors for a minute, and my hands and feet got real tingly. And I started feeling a little pulse down both of the inside of my arms. And I realized that was cardiac. And I knew that was probably not good.
Been a little over a year since all of this started. How is your since then? How is your life?
How are you?
Yeah.
How are you?
Well, I saw you in March, and I saw you in October.
But I didn't know all of these details.
October was 3 when I saw you guys in New Jersey or in Philadelphia. That was 3 months after the heart attack.
Wow.
So the thing is with heart attacks, it's that 12-month mark once you get there, and if according to the stats, if you can make it to the 12-month mark with no other incidences or issues, your odds of having something later on go way down.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
What would be more supernatural than the unexplainable? I was however old you are when you're probably in the last months of having an actual crib. And an elevated crib with the slats, because this is 70s, this is 73 or 74 or whatever. This is my first house, and I was in that crib, and this can very easily be chalked up as that you were dreaming this. And but I looked through the slats of that thing, and out of the wall came an Indian chief, feather headdress and everything, and a young Indian scout, one feather. And their heads came out of the wall and came at me.
Wow.
And scared the absolute shit out of me.
Vanessa, if you want to begin our quest rounds.
Sure. Favorite concert?
Southern Culture on the Skids.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Salty or sweet?
Yes.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Batman or Superman?
Ooh, Superman. Because Batman's a dude.
Practical effects or digital effects?
Practical supplemented by great digital technology.
If you were to write an autobiography, what would the title of your book be?
Point Guard.
If they were to make your autobiography into a movie, who would play you?
Ryan Gosling.
Andre, it has been phenomenal meeting you and getting to chat with you. And I thank you so much for being here and giving a huge fan of the Monster Squad and of Sean and all the other characters a chance to converse with you and get to know you and introduce you through this medium. I thank you so much for that.
Well, I appreciate it. And this is by far, we went into other things that normally don't happen on good, podcasts. Great. So I'm all jazzed, and hopefully people enjoy this. And but go celebrate the stuff. Go support, your show. Yes. Go support Vanessa stuff. Support all of your friends that are trying to make something. You can support me if you want to. It's not a prerequisite. And just try to do something with or for somebody else, and it's kind of interesting what you get in return. But it's not conditional. This has been fun.
Well, what are we going to do for part 2?
Oh my God,
Oh, let's
right?
find out. Let me know. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Again, Vanessa, thank you so much, and Andre, thank you so much, and you have a great night, great week, great many years to come.
I appreciate it and look forward to. You already mentioned part 2, so you're on the hook for that. So
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll come up with another topic and another rapid fire, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. Look forward to it.